It's definitely not news that dating and relationships are seriously messed up today. But what no one talks about is a hidden need men have and how men cope with not getting that need fulfilled, often without even realizing it. Now, whether you are having casual sex with strangers or trying to placate your girlfriend's capricious emotions just for a moment of sex, of attention, you are using sex to make up for the absence of a kind of connection in your life. And that connection, this need that we have, that we don't hear about, that we don't talk about, is the need for admiration and respect. Before we jump into the video, I want to quickly tell you about my introspection guide. Something that will definitely make you a better catch for women and will draw attention from higher quality women is being at peace with yourself, being grounded, being, a man who is in control of his emotions and who understands what he wants, understands how to handle difficult emotional situations. And that's exactly what my guide is designed to help you do, to understand what it is that you want and you feel and how to communicate that like an adult. The guide is about 80 pages long. It's super dense, goes over what emotions are, how they function, how not to go about handling your emotions like repression or emotionalism. And it dives into what introspection is and how you can go about it. It's got about 4 different strategies that you can go about handling your emotions, understanding them, managing them, and just better understanding yourself. So if you are at all interested, check it out in the description below, and back to the video. Now, the kind of admiration that I think that we are missing is not the kind of admiration you'd get from a friend who's admiring your work or something. It's specifically a feminine admiration of your capacity as a man. I think it's a kind of attitude that a woman naturally has that feminism has basically wiped out from our culture. Feminism really attacks women who do look up to a man in their lives. I mean, I've seen so many times where a woman will try and say something nice, just nice about a man in her life, and she will be barraged by other people, mostly other women, who will be telling her, oh, don't forget about yourself, he's not perfect, or you're not his servant. There will just be this nervous energy or uncomfortable moment where a woman is saying something nice or just admiring something that the man in her life has done. For the past couple of decades, we've been shown that a good woman, a moral woman, or an independent or strong woman is one who scorns men, one who has no need for men, one who holds men in contempt. You can see this baked into almost every aspect of our culture. Sitcoms, movies show us men who are not admirable at all. And then a man wanting anything from his wife is this oppressive asshole who just wants his wife to be a servant. Rather than seeing heroes and admirable men in our movies and TV shows, we see scoundrels and louts. And we're left with the feeling that men only cause destruction, that men offer no value and women are better off without them. A ton of men feel like wanting anything from the woman in their lives is essentially demanding that they be his servant. I've heard on a number of occasions men asking the women in their lives if they would be willing to do something, like make dinner once, or maybe help do the laundry once. And those women threatened to end the whole relationship because they were asked to do something. We're told that a good boyfriend is one who is subservient to her, and that he needs to be constantly placating her emotions, and that her emotional state is his responsibility. And in fact, the whole worth of him and the relationship is all down to whether or not he is able to placate her emotions. If she doesn't feel happy in that moment, then the relationship is failing and it's his fault. Something that I've come to notice is that young women, I don't think, really see men at all. I don't think they know what a man is, and because of it, I don't think they really know what it is that they're looking at when they see a man. And because of it, I don't think they can really value a man in their life. And most young men don't know their own value as well. There is a very important connection that isn't happening in relationships, and a very important need in men that is not being fulfilled. And so this makes men either resent relationships, resent the idea of being a servant, or it makes men feel like they have to become a servant in order to feel like they have worth and feel like they're earning respect. And when we are missing this admiration, when we're missing that connection, we end up putting a tremendous amount of importance and end up needing sex in order to feel as though we are getting that need, even though we're probably in a situation where we're not at all. Now, let me expand a little bit more on that by diving into what this connection really is. Now, this kind of admiration, this kind of connection, is her deep emotional support of you. It's not just thinking well of you or mildly trusting you. It's a fundamental view of you as being good and trustworthy. She should see you as her hero. Now, I'm not saying that all women need to trust all men or something like that. That this isn't a causeless, demand on all women to be like this. Just like love, it needs to be earned. A man needs to be deserving of love and deserving of admiration. But the issue is that our world, so much of our culture is so antagonistic to a woman seeing a man as admirable that it's just been almost stigmatized. And I think this is why there's so much emphasis on hypergamy these days. Women date up, not because they're gold diggers, but because admiration is so fundamental to their sexual nature. So the issue is that we are not given any kind of ideals of what a man is anymore, not even in our children's movies. So women have this natural desire to admire a man, but they have no idea what that even really means. And I'm sure most don't even know that they have this desire. And feminism puts so much shame on it, I doubt any of them would even want to admit that. So the result of this is that natural desire that they have, I think, is just repressed under ignorance and shame. And the result of that is just that they only see the most perceptual levels of admiration in a man, mainly his money, his looks, and his status. But the good women out there aren't shallow in this way. The good women will still want to admire a man, but just for important things like his character, not just his wallet. This is why it's so important for you to work on yourself and build yourself up, not build up your character and your muscles and your money, but build up your worth as a person, build up your emotional depth and your character. Because the more you build yourself up, the more you'll be able to enjoy a good life for yourself, but also the more you're going to attract the good women out there. Just another friendly reminder to check out that introspection guide. And when we don't get this kind of admiration in our lives, we cope with that by putting an enormous amount of emphasis on sex. Now, without going into too much detail, I think the reason why femininity has so much to do with this kind of admiration for men has to do with the actual act of sex, where a woman is submitting to a man that she thinks is, good enough and trustworthy enough and that she's comfortable enough with to, have that kind of deep connection with. I mean, she is, in a sense, physically speaking, at his mercy in that moment. And she is surrendering to a man that she thinks is good. And I think in that kind of relationship is a kind of admiration of, I think this man is great. Not just good, but great. Which is why I think it's so twisted what feminism tries to twist, well, basically everything into, but particularly the act of sex. It turns it into this creepy power play thing. And because of the nature of this kind of dynamic, from a man's point of view, we can feel like we're getting respect, we're getting that kind of admiration on a deep subconscious level, just on the emotional level. We can feel like we're getting that when actually we could be in a relationship where the woman has no respect for us whatsoever, which is how we can end up having a whole relationship where the woman doesn't respect us and doesn't admire us, but we look forward to those moments of of sex because we get the feeling that we're missing from the whole relationship in that one moment. So we cope with sex for an emotion that we're missing throughout the whole relationship and throughout our whole lives. And what that can feel like is that the sex is never enough. I've heard from loads of guys, and I've experienced this myself, is when sex is over, immediately when sex is over, you can feel like you weren't satisfied, like you just ate a huge meal, but you're still hungry. It's a very bizarre feeling. Or you can feel like during sex, you're totally invisible to her. Like you could be anybody, and you're just there to perform certain actions for her. Now, it's not that wanting sex or having lots of it is bad. It's that we are trying to make up for an essential emotional connection in our lives and our relationships that basically no one talks about. And we're trying to satiate that emotion through sex. Now, I want to go over a few ways in which we try to cope with the absence of this connection. And mainly it is through casual sex, performing for validation, and emotional disconnection. Now, with how crazy the dating and relationship world is these days, it can feel safe to detach yourself from relationships and just go out and have some casual sex with strangers. You don't have to worry about her hurting you emotionally or wasting your time or your money. You can just get your sex and be on your way. The problem is, whether you realize it or not, what you really want is connection. The whole reason someone goes to the enormous amounts of effort to go out and hook up with women is to fake the feeling of connection. I mean, if it's just because sex feels good, then you can just take care of that at home in a moment. You don't need to go through the whole trouble of finding someone else. And so people are going through that enormous amount of effort, not because it's just for the physical, but because they're trying to fake the emotional connection that sex is actually about. They don't want to actually get the responsibility of having a relationship, but they want the rewards that come from a relationship. Now, the emotional result of this is loneliness. You end up feeling more lonely and more empty than you originally did after you've hooked up, whether you realize it or not. And ultimately, it reinforces this idea in your head that you're ultimately replaceable. Because how much value are you really offering to women if all you are is just a penis, basically? Now, in terms of trying to fake this kind of connection, trying to fake this kind of admiration, I'd put adult videos in this category as well. Now, I actually did a video on adult videos and hooking up that you can check out. I'll put a link somewhere. Now, these next two are sort of crossovers, but I sort of separated them out for clarity. Now, there are loads of guys out there who will fall into the performative relationships where they will be performing certain actions, trying to be the best boyfriend that they can be in order to get a feeling of approval. And oftentimes, sex will be the ultimate moment of approval for the boyfriend. You're going to try and be winning her approval of you by performing all these boyfriend duties, making her dinner, building her fire, and taking her out to the best date, and doing all of these things constantly in order to get that feeling of approval. And the peak of that feeling of approval will be sex. Now, it's not that you shouldn't be doing nice things for your girlfriend. You, in fact, should do nice things for your girlfriend, but it's when you're doing them in order to get approval, it forms this horrible, disgusting relationship where you're almost like a dog doing tricks for treats. And the only kind of woman who will be interested in a man like that is one who will want a servant. It's one of the worst kinds of women out there. And you will be working hard in order to get her approval of you only for that moment of sex. And in that moment of sex, you'll feel like she respects and admires you. But just like the guy who sleeps around, it's just a fake feeling, which is why it fades quickly after sex. Ultimately, this is not a woman who respects or admires you, and you're just trying to fake that feeling of her admiring you through performances, through, trying to gain her favor. And the emotional result of all of this is resentment. You will end up resenting her. You'll end up resenting perhaps all women. You will end up feeling insecure in yourself, because no matter how much you try to placate this woman, it will never make you feel good about yourself. No one else can give you your sense of self-worth. And ultimately, you will realize that she doesn't really want you. She just wants what you can provide. And it will leave you feeling embittered and used. Now, one of the many reasons I think a lot of men get trapped in this kind of relationship or have this kind of mentality is because I think there's a ton of shame in our culture around men wanting something from the women in their lives, or having an expectation of what a woman should or shouldn't be in a relationship. We're told that, women were oppressed for millennia and we need to make up for that now. Or women were servants for a long time, and, if a man asks anything of her or has any kind of expectation of her, that's tantamount to having her be your servant for life. And we're told that being masculine, being dominant, and being decisive, these are all evil qualities, and that you need to do your very best to repress and, subvert all of those qualities in yourself. So in other words, you need to be submissive and indecisive, which means she's the one who is in charge. And sadly, what the culture has done for so many men is it's set them up to end up with a woman who does not respect them and does not admire them. Now, lastly, another way we end up missing this connection is by detaching emotionally from the relationship entirely and pretending like sex is the only thing that we are interested in. You feel like being emotional or romantic or a longing for connection makes you weak. You feel like you need to be strong and in control all the time, which to you means never allowing yourself to be vulnerable. The result is that you feel disconnected and emotionally uninvested in the relationship. Perhaps she feels more like a friend you randomly have sex with than an actual romantic partner. Maybe you want to feel connected to her, but you don't allow yourself to open up. So you bury that desire and pretend like sex is the only thing that you're interested in. And the emotional result of all this is just loneliness and feeling like you'd have to give up being a man in order to actually get what you want. So to sum everything up, sex alone is not enough. You deserve to have a woman in your life who actually admires you. Good women are still out there and will admire a good man, not just for his money and his looks, but for his character. So don't waste your time on women who aren't capable of admiring you, and don't wall yourself up emotionally and make yourself incapable of connecting in that way. So build yourself up and be someone worth admiring, and you will find a woman who will admire you for it. So don't waste your time on some tart who only likes you for your wallet, or some bitch who doesn't respect you at all. No amount of sex, even crazy acrobatic jungle sex, can make up for the absence of this kind of connection. There are good women out there, even if it doesn't seem like it. They're just hidden in the shadows, unrepresented in our media, and quietly hiding in the background, just like you. Well, I'm sorry that the video was a little bit later than I was hoping. I was hoping to put this out on Monday, but I've had some pretty intense personal stuff going on lately, and hopefully it hasn't affected the video itself. If you thought the video was clear or good, please let me know in the comments below, and yeah, if you liked it, drop a like, and I hope to see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.